The 19th century was a time when the American continent was changing rapidly. In the West, vast deserts, sharp mountain ridges, and silent valleys had long been home to the native tribes. Among them, the Apache lived a harsh yet free life. They knew every water source, every mountain pass, and every sign in the land that could mean life or death. In the midst of this unforgiving land, a child was born who would become the symbol of the final resistance against the great power coming from the east. His name was Goya, meaning the one who yawns, later known to the world as Geronimo. He grew up surrounded by the traditions of war and hunting. From a young age, he learned to ride horses as swiftly as the desert wind, to fire arrows and guns with deadly accuracy, and to survive in a land that knew no mercy. But his life changed when foreign forces began to arrive. First came the Mexican army, followed by waves of white settlers from the United States. They brought weapons, forts, and settlements that pushed ever deeper into Apache territory. Treaty after treaty was made, only to be broken. Water sources were seized, hunting grounds taken, and sacred lands lost. Geronimo lost his family in a raid by Mexican troops. That grief burned in his heart, transforming him into a tireless warrior. From that day on, he swore to fight anyone who dared set foot on his land. With courage and cunning, he led small Apache bands that moved swiftly, striking and then vanishing like shadows in the desert. Year after year, he became a nightmare for both Mexican and American forces. He knew the hills and canyons as well as the lines on his own hands. Geronimo and his warriors could travel hundreds of kilometers without leaving a trace, using caves, rocks, and dry riverbeds for concealment. They attacked supply convoys, destroyed military outposts, and freed fellow Apache captives. The enemy tried countless times to capture him, deploying hundreds of soldiers on horseback with modern firearms. Yet Geronimo always escaped. Sometimes he moved under the cover of darkness, other times in the blinding midday heat of the desert. He used sandstorms to disappear, and even misled his enemies by creating false trails. By the 1880s, the pressure grew heavier. The United States sent special cavalry units, aided by scouts from other native tribes, forced into alliance. Although the Apaches' numbers dwindled, Geronimo refused to surrender. He led cross-border raids, riding into Mexico and back into Arizona, leaving his enemies exhausted and confused. But the world around him had changed. Railroads now cut across the land, forts rose at every strategic point, and hunting grounds shrank. White settlements sprang up where grazing plains once stretched. One by one, his allies and relatives fell or gave up. Geronimo realized that the freedom he had known since childhood was almost impossible to preserve. In 1886, pursued by a large force under General Nelson Miles, Geronimo faced a difficult choice. After months of relentless pursuit across mountains and deserts, he finally surrendered. His surrender marked the end of the last major armed resistance by Native Americans in the United States. Geronimo was exiled far from his homeland, sent first to Florida, then to Oklahoma. Though he never again took up arms, he remained a legendary figure. Many came to meet him, to hear his story, even to have him appear in exhibitions and parades. But deep in his heart, he longed for Apache land, the mountains, the springs, and the vast, endless sky. He died in 1909, far from home. Yet his name lived on, not only among Apache descendants, but also in the hearts of many as a symbol of courage, cunning, and steadfast defiance against far greater powers. In the silent desert of the American Southwest, The wind still blows through the canyons and hills. Some say that on a quiet night, you can still hear the pounding of hooves and the sound of footsteps on stone, as if the spirit of Geronimo and his Apache warriors still patrols, guarding their ancestral land. Thank you for watching this short documentary. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel.